What if everything you've ever seen, touched, or felt was just lines of code? What if your memories, your thoughts, even your sense of self, were part of a vast, artificially constructed illusion? This isn't a question from science fiction anymore. It's one that leading scientists, philosophers, and technologists are seriously exploring. The simulation hypothesis is no longer confined to dystopian films or late-night college debates. It's become a real, academic consideration for understanding the nature of our universe. This video takes you deep into the heart of the simulation theory, a controversial yet captivating idea that suggests we might be living inside a highly advanced computer programmer. Digital universe governed not by natural laws, but by algorithms and code. Part 1. The origins of the simulation hypothesis. The modern version of the simulation hypothesis was popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom in 2003. His seminal paper, Are You Living in a Computer Simulation?, proposed that at least one of the following propositions must be true. Almost all civilizations go extinct before becoming technologically mature. Technologically mature civilizations are not interested in creating simulations of their ancestors. We are almost certainly living in a simulation. Bostrom argues that if future civilizations can create highly realistic simulations, and if they want to run many such simulations, then simulated beings like us would vastly outnumber biological ones. Statistically, that makes it more likely we're simulated. This wasn't entirely new. Philosophers from Plato to Descartes have questioned the nature of reality. Plato's allegory of the cave described prisoners who only see shadows of real objects and mistake those for truth. Descartes asked how we can know we're not being deceived by an evil demon. Today we just replace the demon with a supercomputer. Part 2. Scientific arguments and mathematical clues. Is there any scientific evidence we could be living in a simulation? Some physicists point to the pixelation of reality. The Planck length, the smallest measurable unit of space, suggests our universe might be discretized, like the pixels on a screen. The same goes for time, which may move in quanta rather than a smooth flow. Moreover, the universe is governed by mathematical laws that appear eerily digital. Quantum mechanics, with its probability functions and wave-particle duality, resembles a probabilistic code. Reality doesn't collapse into a definite state until observed, much like how a computer only renders graphics when the user is looking. There's also the Fermi paradox. If intelligent alien life is statistically likely, where is everyone? Some theorists suggest we don't see them because our simulation has been programmed to exclude them. We're in a kind of cosmic sandbox, a closed system. And then there's the idea of glitches. Anecdotal reports of time slowing down, déjà vu, or strange synchronicities are, to some, signs of a flawed simulation engine. While not scientific proof, such events feed the cultural narrative. Part 3. Could humans create a simulation like ours? If we ever hope to answer the question of whether we live in a simulation, we should ask, could we build one ourselves? Consider video games. In just a few decades, we went from Pong to photorealistic environments powered by AI. Massive multiplayer games host millions of avatars with emergent behaviors. Now imagine projecting that trajectory 500 or 5,000 years into the future. The rise of quantum computing, neural interfaces, and whole brain emulation makes it plausible that a sufficiently advanced civilization could simulate not just environments, but consciousness itself. Projects like the Blue Brain Project and the Human Connectome Project are already mapping neural activity in extreme detail. Theoretically, simulating an entire mind could be a matter of processing power and time. If we can create simulated minds who don't know they're simulated, then we have to face Bostrom's conclusion: we may already be those minds. Part 4. Who would create a simulation, and why? Why simulate an entire universe? There are many speculative reasons. Post-human civilizations might do it for scientific research, historical study, entertainment, or even ethical reflection. Some might simulate ancient worlds to understand their own past. Others might use simulations to experiment with morality, social dynamics, or technological evolution. There's also the possibility of ancestor simulations, digital replications of early human civilizations. We might be characters in such a simulation, designed to understand how society evolves, how species adapt, or how intelligence arises. Then there's the theological twist. If a simulator exists, could they be considered a god? What responsibilities would they have to their creations? Could our suffering be part of a test? Or simply a byproduct of indifferent programming? Part 5. The philosophical and ethical implications. If we live in a simulation, does it change anything? Philosophically, it challenges the idea of objective reality. What is real if it can be computed, paused, or deleted? Are we truly autonomous beings, or deterministic lines of code? If our thoughts are scripted, does free will still exist? Morally, if our universe is simulated, does that make our lives less valuable, or more? Some argue, it doesn't matter. If we feel joy, pain, and love, our experiences are still real to us. Others argue for a kind of simulated existentialism, since we may never know the true nature of our reality. We must live authentically regardless. As philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre might say, the burden of meaning still rests on us, even in a digital cosmos. Ethically, if we one day create simulated beings with consciousness, what responsibilities will we have? If we can create worlds filled with sentient digital life, are we prepared to care for them? Or are we doomed to repeat the mistakes of mythological creators who abandoned their creations? Part 6. Could we ever prove the simulation hypothesis? Proving or disproving the simulation hypothesis is extremely difficult. Some theorists propose looking for signatures of computational limits, rounding errors in physics, unusual cosmic rays, or anomalies in quantum entanglement. Others suggest that mathematical patterns in the cosmic microwave background, radiation, could reveal signs of a rendering engine at work. Physicist Silas Bean and his team once proposed that a lattice-like structure to space could show evidence of the grid our universe might run on. However, no such evidence has been conclusively found. Then there's the idea of a message from the Creator. If the simulation was made by intelligent beings, could they have left a signature or watermark in the code? Some scientists have even analyzed physical constants in DNA for signs of intelligent design. Of course, even if we found evidence, how could we be sure we were interpreting it correctly? And if we're simulated, could the simulator block us from ever discovering the truth? Part 7. Simulation inside a simulation? Here's a mind-bending thought. What if we build our own simulations inside this simulation? And what if those simulations build their own? This recursive loop suggests a hierarchy of simulations stacked within each other. In such a framework, the original reality, if it exists at all, might be so far removed that it's irrelevant. We could be layer number 6 in a chain of nested simulations, with each level unaware of the one above. This introduces the concept of computational entropy. The deeper the simulation, the more errors, inconsistencies, or lag we might experience. It also implies that the deeper levels might be less stable, possibly explaining unexplained phenomena like the Mandela effect or temporal anomalies. Part 8. Cultural influence and media reflections. The simulation hypothesis has deeply permeated pop culture. Movies like The Matrix, Inception, Tron, and Ready Player One explore variations of simulated realities. Television shows like Black Mirror and Westworld question the nature of consciousness, agency, and the ethics of virtual worlds. Video games like The Sims and Cyberpunk 2077 reflect how we experiment with simulated existence every day. Even religious traditions echo this theme. Hinduism's concept of Maya describes the world as an illusion. Gnostic Christianity views the material world as a flawed creation. Many spiritual philosophies argue that what we perceive is only a fragment of deeper reality. Conclusion: does it matter if we're in a simulation? In the end, maybe the most important question isn't whether we're in a simulation, but what we do with the possibility. Does knowing you might be simulated change how you treat others? Does it shift your values, your goals, your search for meaning? Or does it simply deepen the mystery of existence? Whether we're flesh or code, neurons or algorithms, the one thing that remains constant is our curiosity. The desire to ask, to know, to explore, even if the answers lead us back to the beginning. So, are we living in a simulation? Maybe. But until we know for sure, we live, think, and feel like we are real. And maybe, in the end, that's all that truly matters. This was a speculative exploration by the Tech Prophecy. If you want more thought experiments at the edge of science and imagination, subscribe and stay awake with us.